How terrifying to try going live, you guys. I'm not expecting a whole lot of people to join me today, but I figured since I don't do a whole lot of editing to my podcast to begin with, I figured I would go live today to try to save myself a step because today the boys have a half day off at school, so I have to pick them up early, and I just thought this would be better for today. So if you're new to the channel, you're watching the For Knit's Sakes channel. My name is Allison, and I live in El Paso with my husband, Jonathan, my two sons, Levi and Oliver, and my Boston Terrier, Lucie. This is actually very terrifying to go live today. So you are watching a channel that is about knitting, crocheting, a little bit of cross stitch and sewing, which I have both of today, surprisingly. And this is going to be fun today. Since I don't have the little bars at the bottom when I do my editing to let you guys know about patterns and designer names, I will put all of those in the show notes, as well as put show notes on the Ravelry YouTube fan page, the For Knit's Sakes podcast group on Ravelry. And you guys can check on any sort of notes that I have there. I'm going to try really hard not to stumble over my words, but I am especially nervous because I'm going live. There's nobody here today right now, so that is fine. I'm perfectly okay without anybody joining in on me today. So we'll just jump in and do a regular podcast like we always do. If you want to find me on social media, I'm For Knit's Sakes on Instagram and Ravelry. Feel free to send me any messages if you guys have any questions about anything. And I'm always happy to chit chat about knitting and crafting and stuff in general. We do have a knit along going on, and it ends the 1st of January. It is the Gift Miss knit along. So anything that you are knitting for others, nieces, nephews, grandkids, friends, parents, anybody is included, and any whips were also allowed in the knit along. Just make sure you post them in the finished object thread on the groups page, and we will I will draw for winners after the 1st. I should remember to close up the thread, and then I will podcast and let winners know who won. It is for a pattern that is $8 or less of your choosing. I will buy it and gift it to you on Ravelry. Easy peasy. Go forth in that. So I remembered to pull down my writing prompts book today, and the one question for today is, what bad habit would you like to change? And that is, I wish I could stop saying I'm sorry for everything. Like if I'm reading a book to the boys and I mess up a word, I say I'm sorry before I fix it instead of just fixing it and moving on. I know a lot of people have this problem where they say I'm sorry for a lot of things, but I'm going to try really hard to fix that in the future. Maybe a teeny tiny resolution for 2019. I don't have resolutions really, just because I don't feel the beginning of the year should be the time when I have to like change something, but always trying to get better in life and all of that fun stuff. So I have a lot to show you. It has been since December 3rd since I've seen you guys. Today is Thursday, December the 20th. So it's right before Christmas, or Hanukkah just ended not too long ago if you celebrate Hanukkah, and just holidays in general. I hope it's cold where you guys live, because it's supposed to be in the mid 60s around Christmas for us, which I think is not fair. I want cold weather. That's what I want. So I'm going to do non-knitting finished objects first. And the first one I'm going to share is this cross stitch that I did for my mother-in-law. I bought this Lucie Heaton Christmas jumpers pattern, and it has a whole bunch of these sweater patterns, and she really likes snowmen, so I decided to just do the snowman one for her. I went and bought a hoop at Michael's to put it in. I just need to trim the fabric around it. I backed it with just some plain green because it's pretty messy on the backside, and I kind of wanted to hide that. But if you want a really cute cross stitch pattern, I would check it out. Again, I'll put all the notes down below so you guys can see them there. But it didn't take me very long to do. I definitely still need to work on my cross stitching, but I only messed up my numbers a little bit, and you can't really tell, which is nice. But it's done, and I just need to finish it up and wrap it up for her because she is flying in on Christmas evening around dinner time. Okay, the next thing I did was a sewing project. The Patterns for Pirates came out with this infinity scarf with a hidden zipper. And the original pattern is supposed to be for a long infinity scarf and you're supposed to double it up. But I've had this fabric. It has wine type, so Moscato, Merlot, Chardonnay written on it. It is flannel fabric. I've literally had it since 2014, maybe 2013. I bought it originally to make rice packs that you heat up and you use for sore muscles and stuff. And I never made them. So now I had 3 yards of this fabric. So I decided I wanted to make this cowl. But since flannel is significantly stiffer than like cotton or any other fabric, I decided to make a short one. So this is just one really big, long cowl. And so the zipper, it's not quite hidden because I didn't sew quite as close to the middle of the zipper as I should have. And I used some of this brown fabric I've also had, since 2012, I think. And I still have a whole bunch of it. I made a skirt from it and then I had a whole bunch left over. So I used that to make the little pocket. And then when you put it on, trying to find the seam, it bunches. You can kind of like bunch it up like that. So it's just a really long, tall, and wide cowl. So it kind of bunches up and it's pretty warm because it's flannel. And then my pocket is down here. Or if I put it on the other way, it's up to the top, but you can see the zipper. So I'd rather wear it on the bottom. I honestly haven't used it yet, but it'll be good for on days that I walk to the bus stop and I don't have pants or a jacket that has pockets in it. So then I can just toss my phone and my keys in here and have them not in my hands. So I'm available to help the kiddos if they need anything while walking to the bus stop. So, and I also messed up the orientation. I meant for the words to go this way. And then I guess I just read the pattern wrong, but it's not. I guess it makes it less noticeable that I'm wearing fabric that has wine on it, because I'm sure some people are going to judge me for that, unfortunately, but we'll see. But it's finished and it's done. The next thing, I have a whole bunch of knitting finished objects, so that's going to take me a little bit of time to get through. I finished my vanilla socks that I made for my husband. And this is just some, hello to the one viewer. It's just some Regia that I had made some socks for my youngest son. And I didn't have quite enough to do the whole entire sock, so I had to do contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. So again, some mystery Regia that I gotten from a friend here. And then some stroll for the heel. Just a 3x1 pattern for the sock. Easy peasy. He likes them and they're finished. And then the other socks that I finished were my Christmas socks, my Evergreen socks. So this has a lace pattern. You can see the little Christmas tree up here. Now, I love vanilla socks and I love knitting them. I don't love the way they fit, unfortunately, because these are a little bit baggy. The yarn is a little bit thicker than my usual fingering weight yarn that I used. So, and then I did a different kind of heel. I didn't do my regular heel. You can kind of see it's like a star shape on both sides. I pulled one of the afterthought heel patterns from the sock architecture book to make it. So it's a lot more shallow than my usual heel, which I can show with the other socks that I did for my husband. You can see that this heel is a lot bigger than this heel. So I'm not sure if I'll use this heel again. It looks really cool. And I also did 5 plain rounds before I started doing the decreases, but this kind of heel where it's just like knitting a toe on a sock, it gives you a lot more depth. So it fits my instep a lot better. But you got to experiment sometimes for things. But the little Christmas tree pattern is super cute. These are the Evergreen socks. You can kind of see the pattern. It's hard to tell because of the sock blockers that they're sitting on. But an easy lace chart to read, and I might use it maybe for a hat pattern or something else in the future. Maybe. Don't know. I've also finished a sweater and a hat and a shawl. So I've been super duper busy trying to get those finished. And I'll show the hat that I finished for my son first. It's unfortunately very, very big. I guess my gauge was way off. I tried to account for the fact that it's more of an Aran weight than a worsted weight. This is a Loops and Threads, I think, impeccable yarn in a charcoal tweed. So it's got rainbow tweed all throughout the pattern or all throughout the yarn. But it's very big. It even fits my head. And my son's head is obviously not as big as mine. So it looks quite big on him. And when it stretches, it doesn't really quite bounce back. It's a 100% acrylic yarn. And I just use the barley pattern by Tin Can Knits to get the stitch count. And I just did an extra long brim so he could fold it up and have double layers on his ears. He didn't wear it today because it's not very cold today. But that took me just a couple of days to finish. Now, the next thing I did, this is where gauge is very super important. The pattern for the Decemberist shawl by Melanie Berg is meant to be on a US 11. And I was worried about running out of yarn. So I went down to a US 10. Well, I forget that there's a whole bunch of sizes in between a US 11 and a US 10. So even though I'm only jumping down one US size, I'm jumping down a lot of millimeter sizes. So in the picture in the book or on the pattern page on Ravelry, it's this big, cozy, comfy, oversized shawl, like very, what's the word? Not gapey, but there's like a lot of space in between the stitches. It's very draped and everything. So, but when I went down to the 10, my fabric got a little bit tighter and I ended up with a deep shawl, but not a very wide shawl. So my Decemberist shawl, it's just about my wingspan. And you can see I did mess up my lace chart on one side in the beginning. It's on this side. I forgot a yarn over. And so I messed up my stitch count, but it's very deep. And then you can wrap it around. It's not as big as I had imagined it would be. And I have a whole bunch of yarn left over. I wasn't expecting to be left with so much yarn, but I have a lot. It's in this bag right here. This was some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Bulky. I still have this much left. Didn't even come close to using up all the yarn. So I'm probably going to end up making a hat to go with it. But it's nice and warm. And because it's bulky, it gives me a lot of bulk around my neck here. So let me find the underside. Here we go. So it gives me a lot of, it covers the back of my neck, which is what I'm looking for. My fingering weight shawls don't quite do that. And because my hair is short and it's shaved back here, it doesn't really cover my neck a whole lot. I'm going to try to move my camera down a smidge. There we go. Okay. I'm also filming on my new Chromebook. So this is an adventure in trying a lot of new things today. But I like it. It doesn't even really bother me that the lace is messed up on this side a little bit. It's just the yarn overs are a little bit misplaced up here, but it's bunched up that you really don't notice. But I got it all right by the time I got to, I think, like the 4th row of the chart. And this came from Melanie Berg's shawl book that I got for my anniversary back in August. But it's done. I think I'm actually going to wear it for the rest of the podcast because it's a little bit chilly inside the house. Because in El Paso, it's cold in the mornings. And then by the afternoon, it's like 65 degrees. Maybe not quite that warm, but it's still warm. Now I've got fuzz flying everywhere. My last finished object is my weekender sweater, which is inside out right now. I knit this out of Lion Brand Wool Ease, and I need to wear it a little bit longer to really get to see how it wears. It has gotten a little bit fuzzy just in the last couple of times that I've worn it, but it does wear really well. It's very cozy. It's very warm. Now, I did not make this with near as much positive ease as the pattern suggests. The pattern suggests 10 inches of positive ease, and I honestly knit it with maybe 1 to 2 inches of positive ease. I think I did the smallest size, which ends up being a 39-inch bust, and it was a little bit bigger. I posted a picture of it on Instagram so you can see what it looks like. The bottom does a little bit kind of balloon out from the cuff, not the cuff, the hem, and you knit this bottom up. So the hem is knit, you split, and then you join and knit in the round. And so the bottom, because the inside is technically the outside, it does kind of balloon out just a little bit, which doesn't bother me, but it's just a little bit different than what I'm used to. The lighting got really funny, but I really like this neckline where you do the ribbing up here, and I did my first tubular bind off. I did not do a tubular cast on. I just did my regular German twisted cast on for the bottom, but I did do the tubular bind off for the neckline. It's nice, wide and open, so I do need to wear like a tank underneath it, which I do anyways. And then this only took me 5 balls of yarn, and I still, not even a full 5, I think it was like 4 3/4. So for less than $20, because Lion Brand is almost always on sale at Joann, like I feel like Lion Brand is on sale every other week there. I got a sweater for less than $20. Now I just need to see how fuzzy it gets. But I definitely think I'm going to be using some woolies to make some sweaters for my sons, because it's nice and soft but not itchy like it usually is, or like wool would be. Like they won't wear sweaters made with patents or probably wool of the Andes, but the high acrylic content makes this a little bit softer, but the wool content does give you that little bit of drape and ease to at least be able to block it just a little bit. So the Weekender sweater by Andrea Mowry, finished. And this is Lion Brand Woolies, I think, in just the plain navy color. Easy peasy. Okay, I have 2 sewing finished objects. And one of them is I made some pajama pants for my kiddos. I had bought this holiday fabric to make gift bags for trying to save on paper for the holidays. And it was a little bit too see-through when I sewed up a bag. So I didn't want to go through the whole process of lining all of these bags to just make gift bags, because I bought it so it would make my life a little bit easier. And then I ended up deciding to make, because I had 3 yards of this fabric, to make pajama pants for my sons. I knew going live would be a slight problem with people, with trolls trying to be funny on my chat to the side. So we'll see. I think these are my 8-year-olds. This pattern is Patterns for Pirates. It is free, very simple to do. I keep the templates on paper to trace onto fabric for both my kiddos for what sizes that they wear. And then all I have to do is just trace, cut, and then sew it up. I do not own a serger, so I do a lot of zigzag stitches, and I use pinking shears to get the zigzag cuts on the bottom. I haven't hemmed these because they're usually so excited that they want to put them on right then and there. And then, so both of them have some cute little Christmas pajamas. Not necessarily Christmas because they're just mittens, but winter pajamas that, because they go through pajama pants so quickly. I think they wear them once and then they always just toss them in the dirty laundry. So I finished that. And then while I was making them, I made this little cat drawstring bag for my friend. My friend Victoria paid me to make her a sweater. I haven't gotten her measurements yet, but her yarn is sitting inside this bag, and I made a bag to send her sweater in. So it'd be a nice little carrying bag. It's a decent size. I just followed a tutorial on YouTube on how to make a lined drawstring bag. So the inside is this green fabric. She loves cats, and she's also a photographer. So I found this ribbon that has cameras on it to go with it. And I thought I had enough to do both drawstrings, but I didn't. So I had to get creative and pull a second ribbon out to make different drawstrings for her bag. But her yarn is sitting nice and safe in here for whenever I get her measurements and I can start her sweater and then go from there. Now, because I've been trying to get everything off the needles before the end of the year, I only have one project on the needles right now. And it is sitting in this bag that I got from Connie not too long ago. She sent me a really fantastic package for the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted for this year. And I decided to cast on a hat using this Mothy and the Squid. It's like in speckled rainbow, I think. I don't think she has this in her shop because I bought this back in summer of 2016. But it is, I don't know if you would call it highly speckled or a variegated, because I don't get a lot of white spots and I've gotten a decent amount of flashing. So the color is pooling in these like really cool vertical stripes for the brim, but I'm not really quite sure how it's going to end up when I get to the body of the hat. I think I've only done maybe 7 rows on the body, but I'm just doing the Sockhead hat, and I do my brim in US 1s, and then I move to US 2s for not quite a slouchy hat. So I really like it. Oliver's already tried to claim it to wear himself. So we'll see when I'm done with it who actually gets to wear it the majority of the time. We'll see. And I'm just knitting those on Chowgoos US 2s. That is my only work in progress right now. I told myself I have a crochet work in progress, which I can show really quick. It's just Project Linus blanket, a gigantic granny square in some leftover blues that I've had for quite a while. And I'm just trying to finish up my stash of this kind of yarn. So I'm just going around and around and around until I run out of yarn. And I told myself I'm not going to cast on any garments until one of these is done. After this is done, I think I have enough yarn to make one more blanket. And then I'll cast on a garment after I finish this blue themed one. So hopefully I can finish it by Christmas. And then maybe my Christmas Eve cast on can be my sweater, which I'll share next time. Now, since last time I've seen you guys, I had my Knitting Guild Christmas party, and every year we do a gift exchange where we put all the gifts in the center and everybody picks a number. Number 1 gets to choose a gift, opens it up in front of everybody, and then number 2 can either steal the gift from number 1 or choose a new gift from the middle. There actually wasn't a whole lot of stealing this year, which was kind of fun and nice because everybody was being so sweet to one another. I love this group of ladies so much. But what I ended up coming home with, I ended up going to Marshall's and buying a whole bunch of like self-care things like hand cream, cozy socks, chocolate. And what I ended up coming home with was this slow knitting book by Hannah Thiessen. So it's here, I'll even read from the introduction. The concept of slow knitting encourages us to stop in our tracks, take a breather from our busy lives, and reevaluate what we consume, what we make. I believe that discovering the story behind my yarn and the materials I use in my making will result in better projects for the spirit, for the environment, and for the fiber community as a whole. So I really like the concept of making my own clothes, and I've obviously been knitting for quite a while, but this book has a bunch of really cool patterns in it, as well as yarn profiles for different yarn companies like Jill Draper Makes Stuff, and everything's just really cool in here. I haven't had a whole lot of chances to sit and read, but looked really interesting. So I ended up getting this, and it also came with 2 skeins of yarn. So it came with a plain brown Cascade 220. It looks black, but it is a dark brown. I don't know if it has the colorway on it. Just the color number 7822. So that's a worsted weight. And then this is a mill spun and hand dyed 100% merino sport weight single ply, which I have no clue what to make with this because I don't knit with singles very often, but this is Quillen Fiber Arts, and she's local here to Las Cruces in New Mexico. So it's called Caribbean Holiday. So it's all of my favorite colors of greens and blues, but I'm not really quite sure what to make with it because it's 360 yards. So I'm thinking it's going to have to be some sort of neck warmer. So a little shawlette or a cowl. I don't know. We'll find out. But it's really pretty. It's a little fuzzy, and I know that that's kind of just the nature of single ply, but we'll see. I think I might end up using this if I decide to make a Humulus sweater. I'll either use it with one of the Wool of the Andes worsted weights that I had bought recently to make a Humulus sweater. I'm not really quite sure, but it would go really well with the Papaya Heather yarn that I bought to make a colorwork sweater like that. And then my friend Susan, she is so super sweet. She is the one that gifted me a really cool needle binder to organize all of my tools and stuff for knitting. She ended up getting this 100 knits book. And when I was looking through it, I asked if I could borrow it to get, there was one pattern in particular in the back, the second story tee, which I think is probably this last one. Yep. I've marked all my favorite patterns. The second story tee, which I'm actually going to make into a long sleeve, just make long sleeves on it. It's knit similarly to the Weekender, except it's knit in pieces, and then you have to seam up the sides, which I am not a huge fan of, but I will make it work. But I was looking at this book, and she said that I could take it home. And so I told her that I would take her out to lunch or coffee one day because she's a wonderful lady to begin with. It's not just because she gave me this. It's because I would love to hang out with her anyways. But she gave me this book, and so I have all my favorite patterns here marked. And there's another pattern if I can find it. I plan on knitting it with a different set of my Wool of the Andes. There it is, or the Pattons, and it's the Agroterra pullover. I'm not really quite sure why she's wearing a harness in the picture, but try not to show the chart. It's got this really cool, move that all the way over, textured yoke, and then the bottom is just knit pretty plain. So I'm kind of excited to knit a few patterns from this book, and it's just Interweave has a bunch of really great patterns to begin with. So most of these are garments, but they do have a couple of sock patterns and cowls and shawls and everything in here. So we'll see. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this book, and I'm really appreciative that Susan gave this to me. And there's more. A member of the Knitting Guild was donating a lot of her stash because she had went through and to get rid of things that she didn't need. And there was a bundle of 2 bags that were tied together of this DK worsted. She thinks it's Debbie Bliss. And I think she's right because I did some sleuthing on the internet to see if I could find what this goes with. But I have 7 50-ish grams. So like about 350 grams of this yarn. And I figured I could probably eke out a toddler or a small child sweater. So I'm going to knit my sister's daughter, so my niece, a sweater with this. It's like not quite a periwinkle. There's not really a whole lot of purple in it, but it's more of a baby blue color. So I'm going to knit a little sweater, probably a bait sweater and a bait sweater by Alicia Plummer. Okay. Now here are some patterns that I've either purchased or I was gifted over the last couple of weeks because there was some sales going on around Thanksgiving. So I took part in some coupon codes for 20% off for a couple things. There was another one where you could get one pattern for free. So this is one I got for free. It is the Whistler pattern by, let me find the name. I don't think I printed out the first page. That doesn't help me, does it? Veronica Job. So it is technically a tunic length, almost like a dress with a textured pattern on the body. It's a little hard to see in this picture here, but if you go look on Ravelry, you can see the texture a little bit more, but it's on the sleeves and it's on the body. And I was thinking of using my patterns that I had bought in it's like an Aran tweed. So it's a cream color with blue tweed nubs all through it. So I was planning on making this sweater with that, but not doing the full length, but just knitting as far down as I can before I run out of yarn. So knitting the sleeves and then knitting the body as long as I can, because I'm going to be living in a place that has a whole bunch of this white stuff in the background called snow, and I'm going to need things that are warm like that. Another pattern that I got, I'm going to leave it in the sleeve, is one I got on sale. It is called Anasha by Jennifer Steingass. It is designed for Netlouse Fisher folk event celebrating the wildflowers of summertime in Cordova, Alaska. It's the Native Alaskan Eyak people's word for wildflower. So it's this beautiful color work sweater with this really, it just looks really pretty. And I think I might use my stroll, the yellow and gray that I had recently bought from their sale, but I haven't figured out the best color to use for the color work on top. I haven't decided. Check out my Instagram. I might have a little poll going on there eventually. And now one last pattern that I was gifted is the Penny Pearls Pullover by Victoria Zakanovich. And it is just a plain, it's not a raglan. It is a circular yoke pattern with some pearl ridges throughout the body and the sleeves. Pretty straightforward. I'm not really quite sure what yarn I might use for this. This might also be in my yellow Knit Pick stroll. I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do with that. But so 3 new patterns. I have lots of plans for 2019. I need to finish my Make 9 2019 plans. I think I have 7 things on it, but I am also going to try really hard. I say this every year. 2019, I'm going to try really hard to not buy any yarn, period, for the whole year, because I have enough. I have 6 sweaters quantities of yarn, and I have enough to make multiple pairs of socks, dozens of socks, in fact. And then I have a bunch that I can make shawls from. So, and hats. I have so much yarn that I need to knit through that I don't need to buy any more yarn. And my stash is getting a little bit out of control to where I've had to expand it to go underneath my son's bed. That's not where my yarn should go. I want it to all fit into one bookcase, and it has grown exponentially. So I need to be a little bit better about that. That is all the crafting stuff that I have to share today. I don't think there's anything else. I kind of like this live feature because now I don't have to edit anything. I just have to do notes and then I'm done. I don't really edit a whole lot to begin with. So maybe I'll just do lives from now on. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you guys want to do that. I'm not really a big fan of the trolls that come on and ask me to make sounds with my armpits and stuff. Yeah, that happened. But maybe I'll actually have some knitting friends hang out with me next time. I know I didn't announce this one at all. I just kind of wanted to take this for a test drive to see how it would work. I realized the video itself isn't super great quality, but I'm still also trying to figure out if I can pair my phone with my Chromebook. I couldn't quite figure it out. If anybody has tips on that, that would be great. I guess if you just want to hang around for some life stuff, not much is going on. Like I said at the beginning, today is the last day of school for the boys, and then they have 2.5 weeks off. My mother-in-law flies in on Christmas Day. My Christmas shopping is all done. I will refuse to go onto the interstate until after the holidays because people can't drive around here. And I've witnessed a lot of accidents over the last couple of times I've left the house. So I'm going to try to stick just to my little corner of El Paso and only get things that I need to get. I need to go grocery shopping, obviously. and just trying to keep the boys busy over the holiday break. My dad came to visit over Thanksgiving, which was really fun. He taught my boys how to golf because we have a Top Golf here in El Paso. So the boys really enjoyed that. Oliver had his birthday and he turned 5. I can't believe that he's 5 because everything that he's gone through, we weren't even sure if he was going to make it to his 3rd birthday. So every birthday from now on is going to be a big celebration for everybody in the family. Not taking birthdays for granted ever again. I am taking a CPR class next week so I can hopefully renew my teaching license. And I've just been slowly trying to get things crossed off the list. Now is the time where we have to start being conscious of getting rid of things in the house that we can't pack because the movers won't pack liquids. So face care stuff, shampoos, conditioners. We have to be mindful of the food that we buy and consume so we're not left with hundreds of dollars of food sitting in the pantry that we can't take with us. Because it's going to be 6 months from now and we're going to be packing up and driving up to Alaska. And I will try to keep you guys up to date on what's going on with that. We're excited. I'm excited to get a new car. I'm not excited about the monthly payment for the new car, but we need an all-wheel drive vehicle to be in Alaska. And we own 2 hybrids right now. And it's going to be tough enough with 1 hybrid being up there in the cold because I think today's high is like in the teens. So it's going to be a big adjustment and I'm looking forward to it because I don't like hot weather. My husband's not super looking forward to it because he gets cold easily. And I'm interested to see how the boys are going to react to being in cold weather all the time too. We don't get a choice. We kind of have to go. So we'll see what happens. But I think today is a very short episode and I hope you guys like the live. I know nobody really came to hang out today and that's fine with me. Made me a little less nervous. Next time you'll see me, it will be 2019. I will announce the winners of the knit along. So keep on gift knitting if you're knitting for family and friends. And hopefully I will see you guys in 2019. Keep your needles moving. I hope you're staying warm or cool wherever you're living in the world. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.